Luke Belmar, a crypto trading biohacking multi-millionaire with a goal to change the world, and on the way help other like-minded people fulfill their fullest potential. Coming from very humble beginnings, Luke was born in Argentina and traveled to America alone when he was just 16, with nothing but $200 and a suitcase to his name in hopes of a better life.
I started in a small village in Argentina. At the age of 16, I was fortunate enough to have the ability to come to the United States with $200 in a suitcase.
Even at a young age, he understood that school was a trap, designed to enslave people into mediocre jobs they don't enjoy. So instead, he worked odd jobs cleaning floors and washing basketball courts to save up money.
Pressure washing basketball courts, cleaning toilets, flipping wings at a Buffalo Wild Wings, sleeping in my car for a time being. It was about like 4 or 5 months.
Still desperate to change his life for the better, eventually Luke dove deep into online businesses like e-commerce and crypto, which he was able to master, eventually making him so rich that money basically lost all meaning, leading him to create an inner circle called Capital Club, where to this very day he inspires and helps thousands become as rich and successful as himself.
I will build the largest decentralized entrepreneurial network in the world, known as Capital Club. My goal is to have 1 million entrepreneurs from all over the world, focused on creating, multiplying, and preserving wealth and opportunity for all the members.
What a nice and inspiring story, right? Well, maybe think again. Because we all have our secrets, and what's hiding behind the curtains of this show is a man with skeletons in his closet far beyond what he can contain. Starting with his actual name, Luke Belmar, or should I say Lucas Emmanuel Urea Tice. Now, by no means is it a crime not to use your real name on the internet. Just look at someone like Travis Scott. That's not his real name either. And to be fair, Belmar is actually Luke's dad's surname, which could make sense as to why he would have chosen it to use as his alias while his real name is completely different. What doesn't make sense though is that if you try and Google his real name, you likely won't find anything. But why hide it? What are we missing here? Is Luke just a very private person who's always kept to himself, only recently joining social media? Well, not really. Even though checking his accounts might lead you to believe that he's only been around since 2020, that couldn't be further from the truth, as Capital Club itself was started in 2019. So something's not adding up here. Digging deeper, I found out that he didn't avoid using his real name because it didn't sound good or something. Instead, he's hiding it, along with any public information that isn't published by himself. You see, in 2016, there was a terrible terrorist attack that happened at a Christmas market in Berlin that shocked the world.
This morning, Germany's Chancellor Angela Merkel at the site of the country's deadliest attack in decades.
The first images of that truck barreling towards the Christmas market. Moments later, you can see people fleeing in panic.
And it just so happens that none other than Luke Belmar was there to witness the tragedy with his girlfriend, which led to him later giving an interview that was published to the Irish Examiner news outlet. He had given the article a picture of himself and his girlfriend, as well as stating his real name, which was later completely removed with no further explanation, most likely after Luke's request. So why is he hiding it? With such a humble story behind him, surely there shouldn't be any shame in his past. Well, as it turns out, there is so much more to hide than just his name. So, not only does Luke's entire story not add up, it was likely completely fabricated to hide the truth and make him look better in the public eye as a zero-to-hero, self-made millionaire. For starters, Luke likely never came to America alone at just 16, because you can't exactly call it being alone when you have close family members in the same country. On top of that, his brother Nate actually had a failed acting and modeling career in America that they've been trying to censor from the internet. An interview of him back in the day shows him going by his real name. However, much like everything else, it's also been deleted. Yet, this entire attempt at censorship has not gone nearly as smoothly as the brothers would have hoped, because the woman who interviewed Nate was not willing to delete the video after Luke's request, leading him to offer her money to remove it, or else he would have all of her accounts wiped from the internet. And after she refused, that's exactly what he did. This then led to the interviewer releasing alleged private messages between the two, as well as saying she's going to sue them for harassment, showing how far Luke is willing to go just to hide something he doesn't want you to see. Pretty ironic for someone who always preaches to look for the truth and see through the lies.
How would you describe your religion?
I don't have a religion. I am a person that's seeking for truth. I am deeply desperate to know what the fuck is happening.
Let's look deeper into Capital Club, Luke's private community founded in 2019, which in the past has cost up to $15,000 just to join. Recently, however, we can see that it has shifted its focus to acquiring a wider range of members by dropping the price to just $369 a year. Now, this means that Luke is directly competing with other gurus in the space like Iman Gadzhi and Andrew Tate, which inevitably opens the doors for very young kids to join, creating a number of problems, especially when you consider that, just like Andrew Tate's The Real World, it features an ambassador program, which is more commonly called a multi-level marketing operation or just a classic pyramid scheme. Neither, however, have a good reputation, and even Iman Gadzhi, who isn't the most squeaky clean guy himself, didn't take the risk of adding that aspect to his course. To be fair, Capital Club does state that you have to be over 18 to join the ambassador program, but when has that ever stopped anyone? Especially when they never actually try to verify it in any way. Now, I haven't mentioned anything about the club's content itself, but even that hasn't gotten the best rep from people inside, saying it's all just motivational content and nothing constructive that could actually help someone build a business or learn how to make money. Now, since Luke is someone who's always been passionate about making money, early on in his journey he ventured into the world of crypto. And being prevalent in the scene, you probably aren't surprised to hear that he's involved in multiple NFT projects. For example, back in 2021, Luke was involved in a project called Divine Anarchy, and even created an anonymous Twitter account which was later linked back to him. But instead of it being a scam or a rug pull, Luke actually failed on this project out of pure incompetence by hiring a bad developer who made a fatal mistake, which, long story short, led to people being charged gas fees even after the minting process of the NFT was over because of a mistake with the contract, resulting in more than $2 million being completely lost in the process, effectively wiping the money for the community out of existence. And while this wasn't an intentional scam, it's definitely not a good look for someone who's supposed to be one of the biggest and most knowledgeable members of the crypto space. Naturally, a great way for Luke to show himself to new audiences and build his massive personal brand as quickly as possible was through podcast appearances, being seen on almost every well-known show in the finance space, as well as collaborating with numerous people. But when he appeared on Bia Hez's nonchalant podcast, things did not go as smoothly as expected. The whole episode felt like Luke was not in control like usual, since Biaheza was seen challenging his viewpoints multiple times.
You see bots. You've heard this concept of NPCs. NPCs are people that operate off of default scripts. Your brother
Pointed at you.
Yes, because your brother was operating off of a default script. It's okay, brother. It's not a big deal. Your brother was operating off of a default script. It was. I made that very clear.
At a certain point in the episode, the topic of mushrooms and psychedelics came up, which is when Biaheza decided to confront Luke after he stated that he thinks everyone should take mushrooms. He recognized the dangers of making claims like this, especially since there's undoubtedly kids watching.
Guys, mushrooms are crazy.
Would you recommend them
Yes,
to
bro.
me?
Yes.
To TJ?
Me?
Yes, bro.
He's 18. No, bro, that's crazy.
Is legal?
That's
Is he of
reckless.
age? Can you?
That's reckless.
Why?
Isn't that like dangerous?
That's mind altering.
Recommending that to like millions of people online, especially like
Brother, I got a
15-year-olds?
clip that went viral that had 1 million likes that said everybody should do mushrooms. Everybody should do mushrooms. Everybody should do mushrooms.
Luke later admitted that he understood the clips of him saying outrageous things were bound to go viral, and so he never tries to clarify his point.
Now, would I recommend it for the entire world? No. But I would recommend it to you guys.
You just said everybody should.
I'll make videos where that'll go viral.
Okay.
But where I'm saying take mushrooms, I'm not telling to 1 million people, bro. When I did a podcast recently. I was talking to this girl. I said, take mushrooms. That clip went viral. I was talking to her. This clip will go viral. You guys take some mushrooms. It'll be good for your mental reset.
Aren't you kind of worried about the impact you're having? Because some people might see that video.
It's great impact. It's great impact.
Why do you think they're so good?
Try them.
I'm scared, bro.
But as he's also said himself in the past, don't just blindly follow everything a man behind a random anime picture tells you on the internet. You know, I'm guessing after everything that has come to light, you might think that Luke Belmar is a really bad person, a scammer, and so on. But what cannot be forgotten is the impact he's had on many people's lives with his content, always preaching to better yourself in every aspect of life. So just like with any successful person, there's a lot we can learn from observing Luke's story. The only question is, what else is Luke hiding and lying about? Good luck out there.